Remember Dark Messiah of Might and Magic? That game had a completely different kind of energy. It was not just about swords, spells, and monsters. It was the way every fight could suddenly turn into chaos. You walk into a room with a plan, and 10 seconds later, someone is flying into a spike wall. Another guy is falling off a bridge, and somehow you are pretending that was exactly what you meant to do. That kind of physical, reactive fantasy combat has been missing for years, but now a new wave of first-person RPGs and immersive sims looks ready to bring some of that feeling back. So today on Magic Game World, we're checking out 7 upcoming games with heavy melee combat, reactive worlds, creative tools, and plenty of ways to turn a simple fight into a complete mess. Let's get into it. First up is Alkahest, and this is probably the game most people will compare to Dark Messiah right away. You play as the youngest son of a minor lord, trying to prove yourself while the kingdom around you is falling apart. The big hook is how much the environment matters. Ledges, traps, objects, even trees can become part of the fight if you use them right. So you're not just staring at your sword damage or waiting for a cooldown. You're constantly looking around and asking, what can I use here? That's where this kind of game gets exciting. A clean sword fight is fine, but kicking someone at the perfect angle and letting physics finish the job is the kind of thing people actually remember. Alkahest also swaps traditional magic for alchemy, so you're preparing potions, coating weapons with oils, and using explosives to create openings before a fight even really starts. It feels tactical, physical, and messy in the best way. Next is Monomyth, which is already in early access. This one has more of an old-school dungeon crawler feel. It's slower, more methodical, and built around exploration instead of constant spectacle. You're heading into the fallen fortress of Lysandria, searching for your brother and a mysterious primeval seed. But the real appeal is how interactive the whole thing feels. You solve physics-based puzzles, talk to NPCs through a keyword system, build your character through more than a dozen skills, and yes, you can even bake bread. Honestly, I respect that. If I'm trapped in a deadly underground fortress, I still want the option to make snacks. Monomyth is not about rushing from one fight to the next. It's about surviving a strange, dangerous place and slowly learning how all its systems work. Now, let's talk about Whatever It Takes. This one looks heavier, rougher, and more aggressive. You play as Ilizar, a god who's been stripped of his power, so instead of starting as some unstoppable legend, you're fighting your way back from nothing. The combat is built around directional attacks and parries, with your mouse movement affecting how you swing and defend, so fights feel more hands-on than simply clicking until the enemy drops. You have to read your opponent, control your angle, and react fast. Armor also matters, which means you need to break defenses, find weak spots, and create openings instead of just draining a health bar. Then there's the Harpoon, which lets you move, reposition, pull enemies, or drag them straight into traps. That one tool alone makes fights feel way more unpredictable. Next up is Sorceress, and this one leans hard into immersive sim territory. You play as Melinda, a thief trapped inside a castle filled with witches, parasites, and magical problems that clearly got out of hand. But Sorceress is not just about casting bigger spells. It is about gadgets, physics, elemental reactions, and using the room around you. You can pull weapons out of enemy hands, throw objects, use fire, trigger machines, and turn the environment into part of your plan. That is the good immersive sim stuff. The game gives you a problem, then lets you solve it your own way. Maybe the plan is clean, maybe it is clever, or maybe the whole room catches fire. As long as it works, it works. After that, we have ELDRIMAR, and this one goes much darker. It's a prequel to the Eternal Evil universe, following Samaron, a warrior trained to reclaim his homeland from necromancers. So expect undead enemies, ruined places, magic, crossbows, melee combat, and a heavy dark fantasy atmosphere. What stands out is the sense of weight. Armor, damage, and the way attacks connect all seem to matter, which is important because dark fantasy combat should feel dangerous. Fighting necromancers and undead soldiers should not feel like clearing a checklist. It should make you stay alert. And with larger, non-linear areas, exploration should have that same tension. You're not just following a marker, you're stepping into places that probably want you dead. Then there's Fatekeeper, which feels more mysterious and handcrafted. You explore ancient battlegrounds, ruined sanctuaries, caves, and forgotten places filled with secrets. Combat mixes melee and sorcery, but the progression is what stands out. Instead of only giving you bigger numbers, Fatekeeper uses relics and artifacts that can change how you deal with enemies. That's exactly what I want from an RPG. Don't just make me stronger, give me new tools, make me rethink how I play. Fatekeeper looks like the kind of game where exploration actually matters, because what you find might change your whole approach. And finally, we have Project Shadowglass. This one is a little different, but it still fits the theme. It's more inspired by classic immersive sims like Thief and Deus Ex, with a 3D pixel art style that gives it an old PC game feel, but with a sharper modern look. You play as a struggling thief in a divided city, where the rich are building walls and everyone else is being pushed out. This is not a power fantasy. You survive by planning, sneaking, picking locks, dousing torches, watching patrols, and getting out before everything goes wrong. The city also reacts to your choices. If you kill, get spotted, or act too recklessly, your reputation changes, and guards or citizens may respond differently. That gives every job more tension, because your choices don't just disappear when the mission ends. So, if you miss first-person RPGs where the world actually reacts to you, these are worth keeping an eye on. Some are about melee, some are about stealth, magic, exploration, or old-school dungeon crawling, but they all seem to understand the same thing. Player creativity is what makes these games memorable. Which one are you watching closest? Drop your pick in the comments, subscribe to Magic Game World, and I'll see you in the next video.